for a little support. At a time of need, it'll be enough. Not a chance. Driving into town, can't see or hear. Kill communication, stepping off the grid just to let me know. So many got my time.
Let's get the ball rolling. In this episode, we return to what seemed like just another day at the factory, until one memo changed everything. A simple revision to the work schedule. No big deal, right? But what if that small change was the beginning of a battle between management power and workers' rights?
Kapag ang benepisyo ay binawi ng walang usapan, ito ba'y legal o labag sa makatarungang pakikitungo?
You mean to tell me we're losing our 30-minute paid break? Just like that?
What followed was a courtroom battle. On one side, Sime Darby Pilipinas Incorporated, invoking management prerogative. On the other hand, the Sime Darby Salaried Employees Association, or ALUTUCP, with support from the National Labor Relations Commission, or NLRC, claimed unfair labor practices and the unjust reduction of long-standing benefits.
This is not just about time, Your Honor. It's about respect for what's been earned, established practice, now taken without proper negotiation.
The 8-hour workday remains intact. No law was broken. Management acted within its right.
The NLRC was divided, first ruling in favor of the company, then reversing itself. It was up to the Supreme Court to break the tie and define what fairness really meant under the law.
Effective Monday, September 14th, the new work schedule will be 7:45 a.m. to 4:45 p.m., Monday to Friday. Lunch break, 12 noon to 1 p.m. unpaid. Let's roll this out next week. It's for productivity. The 8 hours are still there.
It's legal. The lunch break was paid because they were on call. If they were not working during lunch anymore, then we're not really required to compensate for that time.
Mom, have you heard the latest memo?
Yes, I did. This isn't just a memo. They just removed a paid benefit without even talking to us. And that break's been there for years.
What will we do about this? We work the same hours but we get paid less?
We will do everything we can to get our rights back. For now, we will set up a meeting with our union lawyer to see what the best next steps are in this situation.
Did the company abide by or follow what is stated in the Labor Code of the Philippines? Article 83 of the Labor Code is clear. A regular workday must not exceed 8 hours. And here's the twist. Sime Darby's revised schedule still stuck to that rule. Even with the unpaid lunch break, the actual working time remained 8 hours.
Good morning po, attorney. Regarding po sa latest memo, hindi naman po tama yun. As a representative of the union, I held a meeting with union members to address this issue. All of us felt the same way.
I understand you deeply, ma'am, and I also see how unfair it is. Together with the whole union, we will do our best to overturn this and give all the employees what they deserve.
So, what about the removal of the 30-minute paid break? Was that a diminution of benefits? A protected employee entitlement? Turns out, not quite. The Supreme Court reasoned that paid break wasn't truly a benefit, but a conditional period when workers were still on call. with an uninterrupted 1 hour lunch. They weren't being made to work during that time, so no compensation needed.
This isn't cutting benefits, Your Honor. It's clarifying work hours. Employees now get a real break. That's not a loss, it's a shift. In other words, if the break is no longer work-related, then the company has no legal duty to pay for it. The labor arbiter and even the first NLRC ruling saw this for what it was, a legitimate use of management prerogative.
The change applied to all employees equally, union and non-union alike. There is no evidence of discrimination, ill will, and bad faith. This court finds no unfair labor practice was committed.
So, what are the lapses of the employee in terms of personal judgments pertaining to the grievances they made? The grievance was filed. The legal arguments have been prepared. But before the court could decide, one desperate worker sought answers directly from the executive herself.
Ma'am, can we talk?
You have 5 minutes.
Ma'am, I won't waste your time. I just need to understand why. It was sudden and unannounced.
The company exercised its management prerogative. We adjusted work schedules in line with operational needs. We can't justify paying for idle time.
Idle time? That break wasn't wasted. It kept us focused. Let us recharge. Some of us barely make it through the shift without it.
The paid lunch break was not a right, only a privilege granted by management. It was never guaranteed.
Confronted with the sudden truth, the workers struggled to make sense of it. Years of routine erased in seconds.
A privilege? Why do we have it for so long? If it wasn't a right, why did you let us believe it was?
The new schedule complies with labor law standards. There was no violation.
Legal? Maybe. But was it fair? You didn't even consulted us. We built our days around that break, and suddenly it was gone?
There is no strong evidence of discrimination. The new policy applies to all employees equally.
As an employer, what are the lapses as to why employees do such grievances?
Your Honor, this case extends beyond mere administrative matters. It fundamentally concerns the principle of fairness. A long-standing benefit was rescinded without prior consultation.
We weren't simply defending a benefit. We were asking to be heard. This sudden decision overlooks the values of mutual respect and due process, which are the principles that are essential to a just workplace.
Proceed, counsel. You may summarize your position.
The removal of the paid lunch break, implemented without any prior consultation, constitutes an unfair labor practice. It signals disregard for the workers.
With respect, Your Honor, the company acted within its legal rights. The change was operational, not punitive. No benefit protected by law was removed.
They said it was a trade. 30 minutes of pay for a full hour of uninterrupted lunch. But is that really a benefit lost or just balance redefined?
It was a management decision made for efficiency, not to undermine workers. We acknowledge the communication gap, but we affirm that our actions are legal.
Was there any prior consultation with the union?
None, Your Honor, and while legality constitutes one criterion, it does not serve as a sole measure for evaluating this action. Rights must be exercised with a sense of responsibility. In this instance, the lack of consultation has deprived employees of their dignity and voice.
Hindi ko man alam lahat tungkol sa batas, pero alam ko kung ano ang tama. Kung may pagbabago, sana man lang kinausap kami. Tao kami, hindi kami makina. Araw-araw namin binibigay ang buo naming makakaya. Ang hiling lang namin, tratuhin kami ng patas at may respeto.
Mr. San Gabriel's words hit hard. This wasn't just about rules or papers, it was about real people. Every new memo or schedule changes affects someone's daily life.
Your Honor, we acknowledge and appreciate the sentiments expressed. While the adjustment was made was a lawful operational decision, we recognize that the manner in which it was communicated did not meet expectations.
The court considered both law and conscience. The change did not violate any contractual obligation nor diminish any statutory benefit. However, the court and management also acknowledges that workplace decisions, while lawful, must be approached with consideration and proper communication. This case serves as a lesson, not in illegality, but in missed opportunity for a better engagement.
Accordingly, the court rules in favor of Sime Darby Pilipinas Incorporated. The petition is granted. However, the concerns raised by the workers cannot be dismissed lightly. Their voices reflect a deeper need for recognition, fairness, and participation in decisions that directly affect their daily lives. Let this serve as a call for stronger, more respectful labor management dialogue moving forward.
Now, if we can tweak or change what is written in our labor code, what will be those that can be recommended, changed, and enhanced? In labor law, not every victory feels like a win. And in the case of Sime Darby Pilipinas Incorporated, we can see exactly why.
And that's where we saw a gap. Management prerogative was exercised but not explained or discussed. We learned that the manner in which we implement change is just as important as the change itself.
Additionally, workers are not passive recipients of company decisions, but rightful stakeholders whose voices must be heard in shaping the conditions of their labor.
This provision not only promotes transparency and accountability, but also upholds the fundamental right of the workers to be informed, consulted, and protected against abrupt changes that may impact their welfare and livelihood.
The law may permit change, but justice demands that change to be shared, not imposed. In the courtroom, we interpret rights. In the workplace, we must embody respect. Management can alter schedules, but should they do it alone? Legally or legal doesn't mean fair. Transparency must be mandatory.
This wasn't a story of right versus wrong. It was a story of silence versus conversation. The court ruled in favor of Sime Darby. But the deeper judgment, better communication, could have prevented this battle in the first place. Respect isn't just what the law allows. It is how leaders choose to lead.